Hello, my name is Leanna Chowish, and the first poem that I'm going to be reading is I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud by William Wordsworth. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretched a never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their head in a sprightly dance. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. For oft when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon the inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude, and then my heart with pleasure fills, and dances with the daffodils. So William Wordsworth uses a beautiful mix of metaphors, imagery, and personification to really give life to this picture that he's painting. He paints a very serene and natural picture, which looks to be as some sort of safe space to him that he mentally refers to whenever he's just lying on the couch or is in a very thoughtful mood. He starts off by having the reader imagine themselves as a cloud flying through the sky, looking over all the valleys and the hills, which already puts the reader in a very peaceful mood. Then they stumble upon what he describes to be as a field full of golden daffodils sitting under trees, lying right next to a lake. He describes, and the reader can imagine, a breeze blowing through and making everything sway from side to side, looking as if they were what he describes to be dancing. Daffodils are known for being very bright and positive and an overall joyful flower, which adds more onto the already joyful and peaceful mood and scene that he's already created. And the fact that he uses golden daffodils really spoke out to me, because it wasn't just regular daffodils, they were golden, which it just makes the reader imagine a much more radiant picture. The color is just a lot more shine, it has more beauty. It's not just a pale yellow or a dark yellow, it's a golden yellow. So overall, the imagery he gives off is genuinely beautiful. And he romanticizes nature, which is an aspect I absolutely adored in this poem. And the fact that he romanticized being alone in nature. He mentioned being a lonely cloud, and he mentioned being in solitude, just being alone and appreciating nature. I felt a connection with that. I think that's why I really love this poem. It connected with me, or I connected with it. The strengths are easy to identify, which is obviously imagery. Weaknesses have, in my opinion, come up short. I haven't found any weaknesses. I tried looking for anything that could maybe could have been done better or could have been added to make it sound better, but I think that it hit everything that it needed to hit and was absolutely perfect the way that it was. He also uses a rhyming scheme, ABABCC, which in my opinion made it a lot more easier and pleasant to read. The words flow and fit together like puzzle pieces, and it just made an already easygoing kind of situation a lot more easygoing and flowy. Overall, the word choice that he uses is very light and peaceful. He uses words such as golden, fluttering, sparkling, shine, sprightly, gaze, bliss. It's just overall very airy, joyful, freeing. So the next poem I'm going to be reading is The Voice You Hear When You Read Silently by Thomas Lux. Is not silent, it is a speaking out loud voice in your head, it is spoken, a voice is saying it. As you read, it's the writer's words, of course in a literary sense, his or her voice, but the sound of that voice is the sound of your voice, not the sound of your friends no, or the sound of a tape played back, but your voice. Caught in the dark cathedral of your skull, your voice heard, by an internal ear informed by internal abstracts, and what you know by feeling, having felt, it is your voice, saying, for example, the word barn, that the writer wrote, but the barn you say is a barn you know or knew. The voice in your head, speaking as you read, never says anything neutrally. Some people hated the barn they knew, some people love the barn they know. So you hear the word loaded, and a sensory constellation is lit. Horse knot stalls, hayloft, black heat tape, wrapping a water pipe, a slippery spilled chur of oats from a split sack, the bonny filthy hotches of a cow, and barn is only a noun. No verb or subject has entered into the sentence yet. The voice you hear when you read to yourself is a clearest voice. You speak it speaking to you. So when somebody reads Thomas Lexis's poem, their mind sort of opens up to the poem like two doors opening up. Thomas uses a brilliant mix of metaphors, imagery, and it just overall gives the audience a very mentally beautiful experience. It almost felt as if there was an implied or involuntary conversation between the reader, the author, and the reader's head voice. Thomas starts off the poem by addressing and acknowledging the silent but not so silent voice that the reader is most likely using when reading the poem. This brings up a forced sense of awareness. The reader is now involuntarily aware of the voice, and they're imagining and interpreting what he's describing while also kind of observing how it all plays out in their mind. Then he uses sensory details, having the reader imagine the inside their head as a dark and empty cathedral. Kind of puts in, this echoing, kind of dark lighting, empty cathedral inside of your head. It's sensory. Then he also uses imagery when he's talking about the barn. The way he phrases horse knot stalls, hayloft, black heat tape wrapping a water pipe, a slippery spilled chur of oats from a split sack, the bonny filthy hodges of cows giving one after the other. He just keeps making the reader imagine all these sounds, which to the reader feels, as he mentioned, a sensory constellation. The sensory details were definitely a strength in this poem, and I don't really see any weaknesses. I thought that it really hit everything that it needed to, and it wasn't lacking anything anywhere. The free verse structure that Thomas uses in the poem gives off an even more freeing sense to the feeling, to the readers, because everything is already the entire experience is very freeing, and I think that the free verse structure just made it even more freeing. It kind of took away any possible boundaries that could have been there from the start, such as a tempo or a rhyme scheme that a reader had to keep up with. It was just very open. And it made the reader feel as if they were almost in a different world or a headspace throughout the entire poem. It was very beautiful and a brilliant mental trip that still left me with a sense of self-awareness with my head voice after reading it. Very good. Okay, bye. Thank you.